Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to this tutorial on how to make marble ruins. And today I'm going to show you how to turn this
into this.
Right, so first up you want to decide what shape you want. I'm going to go for like a squared shape or a corner of a building and do two kind of walls along here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to use a sharp knife to cut from one edge to the other straight across there. Now, I like this stuff because it's very deep, and yes, it makes a mess. If you have a hot wire cutter, it might be a better way to go for you, but I don't mind it being a little bit rough, because we are going to roughen it up later anyway. So, first step is you want to cover this with your material, which is this adhesive tile from the pound shop. Yes, that's right, the pound shop. So what we want to do is we want to just measure it up on the back and cut along here so that we get the length. Now, a little trick is if you want it to be slightly shorter and kind of ruined edge, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to score the edge there, just roughly. Doesn't need to be neat. And what we've done is we've just marked the bit of paper there, if you can see that on the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it slightly shorter, and I'm not going to cut it straight, and I'm going to cut lots of lines into it. And it will take a couple of cuts to get through it because it is quite thick. So with a little bit more cutting with the knife, we finally made it through. We'll put that piece to one side because we will come back and use that again soon. And as you can see, that bit's going to fit nicely on there, but there's a gap along the edge. So you can use a number of things to glue it on. You can add some PVA glue. The tile should be adhesive enough that it sticks itself. You can even use silicone or decorator's caulk. Don't use super glue, that's bad. And you can also use a hot glue gun. I'm not going to use it either for the purposes of this piece today, just to show you how easy it can be done. So there we go. Peeled the back off and just flattened it on nicely. And you'll notice that we've then got this lipped edge here. This is now the fun bit where you're going to make a massive mess. Yeah. Scrape the edges off like that. You want it nice and rough. And not do that. But you know what? It's ruins, it's marble, it's going to break. You know what? I'm going to leave that and just chop that piece off there. Let's get rid of the mess. Feels like an episode of Art Attack, this. There we go. Spot on. So there is your marble base, nearly done. So next up you want to take your polystyrene sheeting again, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure it so that it's a little bit of a way from the edge, as you can see there. Rather than doing it completely flush, I'm going to leave it a little bit back so that it just leaves that little bit extra detail. Kind of a lip, and we're going to do the same there. So I've measured it to cut from about here, and I'm only going to probably go about that high. I don't want it to be massive. I obviously want to obscure larger things like Wraith Knights or things like that, Imperial Knights, but I want normal size models and maybe rhinos and stuff to hide behind it. So I'm going to go for about this height, and literally just like that. Be as rough as you want with the edge. In fact, you know what? We want to roughen that edge up. So I'm actually just going to rub the polystyrene off. Just like that. Just a little bit there on the edges. Now, more fun and games with the tile. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another corner of the tile and get it to fit on there. Much like what we've just done. But with this one, we're going to cover both edges. So that's roughly what it is. And then we'll cut it slightly smaller again because we're going to have the same effect where we cut the polystyrene right down to the length of the tile. There we go. Right, so there's one piece cut. We're going to do the same again with the next piece. So just score it lightly where it's going to be. And just cut it like that. Right, so there we go. We've cut both bits of tile, one for each side. So we'll peel the adhesive off and get that stuck on. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's not 100% perfect because you want it to look like essentially ruined marble. Flip it over, do the second piece. And there we go, so we've got all this poking out the top. Now obviously I have cut that quite short, so all we're going to do is start breaking the polystyrene up so that it's more closer to an even height as you go along. There you go, so when you go to put that on here, and there you go. Right, so now that you've got that one on, you want to then measure up for another piece to go on this side. So we're talking about that high and to about there. So get them out of the way. Chop the polystyrene roughly in the way that you're going to go. So we've cut that one, we're then going to do the same again. This is only the second tile. Now obviously if you're going for irregular shapes, I've still got all of this left out of the middle of the tile. So if you're going for like a big column of polystyrene, maybe this one could be, you know, quite good to do a side of that. We'll maybe have a look at that in a different video. But yeah, let's move on to the next flat piece. Flip it over, and then we're going to use the corner piece of polystyrene again. And like I said, just mark them roughly where you're going to be cutting. And then cut through this piece. And then similar thing where we're just going to rub the edges of the polystyrene just to roughen it up along the edge of the tile itself. And there we go. So we're not actually far off being done. So there's our base, and then there is our two pieces. And as you can see, it's not bad. Not bad at all. You just want a little bit more done to it. So I am making this obviously for the first time as I film it to go through it with you guys, and I don't like the polystyrene here on shore. So what we're going to do is actually going to recut that one piece. So in this bottom corner, we want the width of the piece of polystyrene plus the original piece again. It's cut to about there, and from there. So I'm going to recut that piece and we'll restick it and come back in a second. Right guys, so there we go. I've stuck that piece together with a single one, and basically now we're going to hot glue it to the base. So lather on the hot glue or silicone or whatever it is that you're using. Even PVA. PVA might not be such a good idea because the tile itself is very glossy, so you probably don't want to use PVA, to be honest. And then what I'm going to do is glue it just a little way away from the edge, so you've got that kind of lip. And what do you know, we're almost done. Right, so next up you want some cheap grey acrylic paint. This is £1.50 from Hobbycraft, I think. And a 50p brush. And what I'm going to do is literally use the grey acrylic and not even 100% paint the polystyrene. And the idea is just get a good layer on there. So there we go, I painted all of the sides and edges in a grey. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea or something while that dries now. Right guys, so there we go, all the grey around the outside has dried. And like I said, I haven't been particularly neat with it. You can still see all the white gaps and everything on there, but it just helps add to the effect. Next up though, we are going to be dry brushing white, and this is some cheap white acrylic paint that I got from Wilkinson's for about £1. We're just going to wipe nearly all of the white off the brush. Nice big soft brush. And the joy about polystyrene is all of the bubbles give a really nice texture to be able to dry brush. And then we're just going to drag the brush lightly over the top of it. I'm just going to do that across all of the polystyrene, right the way around. Like I said, the joy about the polystyrene is it gives an absolutely lovely texture to work from. Just go back in there with a bit more. And don't be frightened to get it just on the edges of the tiles as well. I'm even going to do this flat pane along here. And then just the one side left to go. Quick wipe with a dry brush. And you can really see there the white just picking out all of the highlights and the raised detail. And there you have it. Nice marble piece of ruin. I did do another one earlier in a totally different shape. I'll have to pick the tripod up for this. And there you go. I've left the edges quite rough, so it looks as though the giant chunk of marble is maybe broken apart. But yeah, let's have a quick look at this on the table. So here we go guys, the finished pieces on the terrain table. This beautiful game mat supplied by GameMat.eu is what inspired me. I really like the marble effect of the flooring, and of course I wanted some pieces of terrain that matched in accordingly. And obviously this kind of working as maybe as a broken palace pillar, and you know, maybe it's one of the corners here, and of course the polished white stones adding for little bits of scattered terrain. So thanks very much for watching folks. I hope you've really enjoyed that piece of tutorial on how to make marble effect ruins. There we go, you can see the rest of it there as well. Obviously quite big line of sight block and important in the age of Sigmar of course, as well as 40k. But thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are on it, and we'll see you next time.